came in. He doesn't normally come in till late, and he just arrived in there with the two big dogs. Said, I better scarf her and hide in the bedroom. So here I am. Anyway, nice to meet you. Hi.
Likewise, it feels a little bit like the Brady Bunch today with the three of us on.
Yeah.
We're telling our age there, maybe, for those who remember. But listen, thank you for joining. So we have Fran and Deirdre. Firstly, maybe just a little introduction on both of you. Can you each maybe describe your artist styles and who you are? That'd be great first.
Let Fran go first so she can take the lead.
Yeah, okay. Well, my style has changed. You know, anybody who's been following me for years will know that I kind of started off with I'm going to say photorealistic, even though that's probably the wrong word. I kind of did, you know, ocean paintings, underwater stuff. I've been doing that for a long time. I'd be kind of known for that, and I have a lot of stuff in galleries with that kind of thing. But then I was doing that for years, and I just needed to do something else, and I needed to challenge myself in a new way. So I've kind of branched out into more of an abstract, where you can kind of see bits and pieces of my new collection kind of stuff that I'm working on at the moment. So I'm kind of getting into this. It still kind of has I suppose it's water and ink, and it's a pouring technique, and I'm playing around with loads of, I just love layers and lines and different things. So I'm just playing around and seeing where that takes me at the moment. That's kind of like a very tiny whistle stop tour of what I'm doing at the minute. You know, I could go into a big long, but I won't. But that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Good. No, that's great. And I'm loving your work behind you there.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, dude, I love those. So me, okay, wow. Well, I've been
over to you, Deirdre.
Some way involved in the art world probably for 40 years on and off, from different things, from my own work to art workshops to creating the old paint and sip thing 20 years ago, to being involved in exhibitions, to working as an art consultant, to dipping in and working on bodies of work and exiting them, and then taking a break from it and then going back into it. My recent body of work is more to do with Irish landscapes and legends, because I moved down to Kerry about 5 years ago, and for the first time in my life I really feel that connection to being Irish, and picking up a few little words here and there in Irish, and learning about Irish legends, story, history, interpreting that in my work, and it seems to be quite well received. So I'm going to continue on series and see where it goes. You know, I'm going to bring out a series of silk scarves as well, based on my painting this year. So yeah, so that's mine in a really small little nutshell.
No, good guys. Actually, my other question was around, does where you are inform your work? You've just moved here recently. Does that mean that your work is changing, Deirdre, or your style or influence?
I do think that your work but for me anyway, I do think it influences where you are. I would have never thought I would have painted so much green. You know, it's not my color. I grew up in Africa, so most of my 20s and 30s living in the Mediterranean countries. So a lot of my very colorful and vibrant, oranges, reds, you know, bright colors. And since moving down to Kerry, I find that I'm just painting a lot of 40 shades of green, like so many different colors of green, and trying them out. And I'm also an intuitive painter, so I have an idea, and then I have to wait and see what happens. And the painting reveals itself, nearly like a sculptor, I suppose, not knowing what's in the stone. It's just the painting reveals itself, and it'll tell me when it's ready. And you know, but I have the idea of a story behind it, and let's see where it goes, how it interprets itself. So yeah, I definitely think where you are and where you live affects what comes out.
And your mood, obviously, no doubt, right? For both of you.
Pardon?
And your mood, how you're feeling.
Yes.
That informs. That's a big. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think if you're in a bad mood, you paint stuff that nobody else will see. On the canvas and just
Yeah. I know. I can understand that. I empathize with that. I used to do abstracts 20 odd years ago, and then stopped painting until relatively recently. But equally obsessed. I mean, the abstracts were quite emotional.
Yeah.
However, I've become a bit of a still life painter. Equally obsessed with green. Can't get enough green.
The work is lovely. I really enjoyed looking through all your plates that you have on the wall with the shadows and the details. It's really, Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's meditative. It feeds my soul.
Yeah.
No idea where it comes from. Don't really care where it comes from, but just happy to
Yeah.
let it come out, I suppose.
I
Do you
think
just make yours up?
Hmm?
Sorry.
Do you make your pieces up, or are you like working from different things? It
So I
takes
get a
those
lot of.
elements to bring them together.
This is not about me, but I'm happy to answer that question. It is. I get a lot of influence from. My wife and I. We're big collectors of antiques and bricants and visiting charity shops and markets over the years. So we've collected a lot, and our house is quite. We err on the maximalism side. Not
Hmm.
too much, but it's, I suppose it's curated, as my wife would say. So I get a lot of influence actually from that. There's still a lot of composition in every corner of every room,
Hmm.
and that room keeps changing every month. So I get a lot of inspiration
Yeah.
Inspiration.
that way.
Yeah, brilliant.
So back to you both. So when I first heard about the two artists collaborating, I was quite interested in the sense of how did two artists with two different styles collaborate? But this is quite different. So you're collaborating and around a retreat. So tell me a little bit about that. How did this start, and what is this retreat all about?
So who tells the story though? Do you know what I mean? Because it kind of, even the story is a little bit intertwined. But you
Yeah.
know, I'll start off, and then I'm gonna let you talk about Deirdre, because Deirdre just she just has a lovely turn of phrase. But myself and Deirdre met. We actually met years ago. Deirdre was looking after a gallery in town actually, and she was running it. It was the rare. Was it called the Rare Gallery, wasn't it? And Deirdre had seen my stuff online on Facebook and stuff, and she was like, do you want to exhibit? And I was like, oh my God. I had never exhibited before. And so I brought my stuff in, and we just kind of touched base, let's say, there, and we met, and we just got on. But then we didn't speak then for a long time. And then we both did this course together, and an online course, and it was brilliant, and all of that stuff. But we were having an exhibition, and Deirdre couldn't make it. So I said, look, I'll take your stuff. I hadn't even spoken to her for years, but I just kind of said, sure, I'll take your stuff, and I'll hang it beside mine, and I'll look after it, and and I'll post it back up to you, and all of that stuff. So we kind of just had a rapport, even though we hadn't actually met. And then Deirdre's daughter was heading off on a trip, and Deirdre was saying, so I'm heading to, it was India, wasn't it? And I said, oh, I'd love to do that, you lucky thing. I said, can you just hide me in your suitcase? And Deirdre was like, ha ha ha. I said, well, you know what? Well, why don't we do one? We should run a retreat ourselves, like an art retreat or something. And I was like, ha ha ha. Oh, what, you're serious? Like, she was like, yeah. I'll let you take from there, Deirdre.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just said to her, why don't we do something? I said, I'll talk to you when I come back from India. So she's like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever, not taking me seriously at all. But I had in the back of my mind to do a retreat, do one for about a year or so. And unbeknownst to me, Fran had also put a retreat on her vision board. So I came back from India and I said, how about Morocco? Before I got in touch with her, I did a little bit of background research. So I'd narrowed it down to 3 places. And I got in touch with her then and I said, how about Morocco? And she said, you're not going to believe this, but I put Morocco on my vision board, retreat in Morocco on my vision board. I said, well, there you go. This planets are aligned for us. I said, here's 3 places that I found, and have a look at them. Tell me what you think. So she said to me, so are you serious? Like, we're going ahead with this? And I said, why not? Let's just do the groundwork and see where it takes us. So we put it out on to social media that we're thinking of doing an art retreat in Morocco, and the feedback was amazing. So we just thought, okay, let's give it a go and see what happens. So we were very blessed, is the word I would use. We were absolutely blessed. We found this amazing riad in Tisnet, which is down an hour south of Agadir, and it's very, very unspoiled. It's not touristy at all. So there's none of this sort of like street hassling, like come into my shop and, you can walk down the street, nobody turns a blind eye at you, So it's very unspoiled. It's very authentic. And we were just really, really, the couple that own it, he's Belgian Moroccan, excuse me, and she's Indian, London Indian. And I was just back from India. Her parents grew up in Kenya, where I grew up, and so we sort of immediately had this little rapport. And cost-wise, I think we both discussed, Fran and I both discussed it, that I think it was important that we kept it affordable for people, you know, because I think like there's so many art retreats out there and they cost a fortune. They're like 5, 6, 7 grand for the week.
They do.
Reach for a lot of people, you know, especially artists anyway, you know, because, you know, we're all trying to just get by on it. So I think that was one of the things that was both important to both of us. So we found this beautiful little ad. We could take over the whole place by ourselves. They gave us a price. We worked out our numbers and we just thought, okay, we'll put it out there. And I think we sold out within the first 2 weeks of launching it. And we thought, oh,
I'm not surprised given it's Morocco.
Yeah, well, this is it. I think Morocco was on everybody's radar last year and probably still is, because I mean, the amount of people that said to me, oh, gosh, I'd love to go to Morocco. It sounds amazing. And where we are and the people that own the Riyadh, they, honest to God, they couldn't look after you. So we decided, we made it into sort of like a cultural and creative side. So you get out and you see a little bit of the local area, you know, the local towns, walk around business itself, meeting people, you know, and experience what it's like an authentic Morocco lifestyle, you know. And they set up the whole, there's a roof that we work on to do our workshop. So there's a bit of that coming together with wellness and creativity and culture and learning, and you know, so people get a chance. The people that come with us, you don't have to be an artist. Helps.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, no, you don't have to be, but you have to, like, interested in doing something creative, you know, be willing to spend your time doing creative, because that's what it's about really, isn't it? You know, and we have everything. Like one of the girls that came in the last one, she's not an artist. She really thought she'd no interest in it. And she said, every material that you can think of is there to use. From painting knives to stencils to jelly. We bought jelly plates over the last time. And I've done so many different workshops in the past. So it's about the two of us sharing our different techniques, and Fran does more of the teaching side of it, and I'm doing more of the sort of the wellness side of it, like the opening circle, the closing circle, you know, and just encouraging them to play, really, you know, bring out your inner child and play.
I was just thinking about that, because I think you often hear about people going, oh, I wish I could paint or draw or sketch, but I've always been a big believer that you just probably haven't found a medium that you want to use.
Yeah.
And if you can write, you can probably draw, right? And that whole thing about I can't draw a straight line, I hate drawing straight lines. I like crookedness, and I think there's, you know, it's the imperfection and everything. But so you get a lot of people who are exploring. So at different ages as well, different ages of exploring the art, where they're trying it for the first time.
I think we have, they tend to be, let's say, like 40, 50 and 60-year-olds that come with us. That I suppose they tend to be, we decided it was going to be a women's retreat only, and we keep it small, so there's only a group of 12. And it's about connection as well, you know, like the chats. And there's a lot of women out there, I think, that don't have friends to go on holidays with, for example. So they thought, okay, we can come to this. Most of them have some sort, they might be doing art workshops, or they might be doing, you know, there's only a few that wouldn't be doing any art at all. And I think there's a mix of everything. There's a mix of, you know, women just getting on, you know, just chatting and telling their stories to strangers that they mightn't tell friends at home, you know. I mean, it's when you see them, like myself, looking at them, you know, thinking, wow, look at them all just gelling, you know. They're just all just gelling and getting, and the laughter here.
The laughter.
Yeah.
I think that surprised. I think that surprised both of us, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's that kind of just that giddy, you know. And who doesn't love giddy, you know? It was just you know, some of the times, because myself and Deirdre, after we've done our workshops, and we might be up on the rooftop for ages, and everybody's painting and whatever, but we're kind of on. Do you know what I mean? The whole time, because we're you know, we're the ones that are running it, I suppose. So we might just go off and have a half an hour after everything, just to kind of relax before we go for dinner or whatever we're doing. But the rest of them, we look at the rest of them have, you know, retired to there's like a middle section with all seats and stuff like that, and they're all sitting around chatting and maybe having a drink, and you're looking out and everybody's laughing, and you know, and chatting, and it's just great fun. You just it's
It is
surprised to
because it breaks
see.
down the barriers quickly, right? Just gathering and just doing something that you're probably not used to doing before, whether you're an artist or not. But it's just
Yeah,
everyone's in a.
yeah.
So what is the location like? Are you looking over fields, mountains, or are you looking over rooftops? What does that look like?
Rooftops, and I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine went to Agadir, and then she went down. She said, "I thought I'd go down and check out Tisnet, so you would tell me all about it." And she said, "It's an absolute kip." I said, "Do this because you're not looking at it from an artist's eye, you know. We're in doorways, grids on the windows, and the colors of all the buildings. It's in the city. It's in the old, with just inside the walls of the old Medina of Tisnet itself. So you can walk in the old city. There's the old, there's an old mosque. It's hard to describe, but it is a typical old Moroccan city.
Mm.
Now, outside the Medina, then obviously you've got the higher office blocks and apartment blocks and stuff like that. But it's an old city. It's got the old market. It's known as the Silver City because I think it was around the First World War and the Second World War. An awful lot of Jewish people came down and they were Smiths, and they settled there in Tisnet. And so it's known as the Silver City. So it's so many beautiful. There's a market that's just full of silversmiths. But we're in the city. So when we were up on the rooftop doing our our little circles or we're not looking out on anything really apart from rooftops and buildings. But
and escaping the Irish weather, probably, right?
Oh my God, weather is beautiful. It's always lovely.
I think it's the light for me.
Yeah.
When you arrive, and especially if you've come like last year when went there 3 times last year because we went to have a recce in January 1st.
It must have been hard work, was it?
It was really difficult. But like it was actually the light. I remember in the morning getting up the first time and walking up the stairs and just the way the light was hitting like a puff and the way the shadow cast on the wall and just the colour was just gorgeous. And I think and then it's not too hot but it's just nice, that kind of way. And for me it's that kind of colour. The colour's different, the light's different, and so the whole atmosphere is different and it just lifts your mood, I think, Yeah,
I've got an inspiration board of paintings that are yet to be completed, but I did 2 last year. Kind of this color behind me actually is a darker version of that, and then a blue, and then a kind of a bluey with lots of still life, but a kind of an imaginative kind of one. But I'm yet to go there. It's still on the bucket list, but equally looking forward to the food. I'm guessing the food's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I think, that's one thing we could actually, if you ask anybody who's on the retreat, who has been on the retreat with us, and I can see one of the girls there is actually watching Terry, if you ask them what their favourite meal was, most of them will say breakfast, believe it or not. Because
so what's breakfast look like?
It was just an experience, wasn't it? Wasn't it, Deirdre?
The way they eat, like breakfast for a king, lunch for a prince, and dinner for a pauper. That old saying goes, except for flip it around because the dinner is actually amazing as well. But the breakfast is a ceremony. We all sit outside. We're served up the food. It goes from like eggs to pastries, fruits. The yogurt is a locally made yogurt. Jam, teas, coffee, Moroccan teas. I mean, it's just in itself, and
and the local honey, and then the coffee's good. But what I think part of it as well was that we didn't rush breakfast. We'd sit down and we'd have like about an hour or just over an hour where everybody's just talking and just chatting, and it's just a buzz and a home, sitting around breakfast before we go up and paint or if we're going off for the day. And so there was no rush, so it was just lovely. The whole morning was just really, really nice. So and then the I haven't had a bad meal there actually. Every single, because we had our own chef as well, and the cooks. We just got really lucky. The food's just amazing. It's the food in the Riyadh was the best. Was better than the food we had outside, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
So how long does this go on for? And when's the next one? How can people join? How can they find out when the next one is? And I suppose, is it Morocco or are you looking further afield?
Well, we've this one now is on in the end of April for a week, and that sold out pretty much before we did any promotion of it. And we had another week, but that didn't go ahead because we just weren't getting the for it. So we've decided that we are going to do one in Morocco every year anyway, and beginning of May, and then we're looking at Italy and maybe Malta and Cyprus as well. So we're just going to narrow that down, and I'm doing the ground, finding the places. Fran's like front. It's like if we had a restaurant. Fran's front of house, and I'm back of house doing all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it's hilarious. We kind of, without even saying it, we kind of split into these different roles, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where you're doing one thing, I'm doing the other thing, and it just works, and there's no friction or anything. It just kind of works, you know.
Your sister said you're very simplistic, the way the two of you just do things together, you know, just sort of work, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
okay, you do that and I'll do this. It just sort of happened that we were just.
It's good teamwork, obviously.
Yeah, and also we might have an idea about something, and then the other person will say, "That's mad. I was only just thinking the very same thing." You know, that kind of way. It's like I was talking to you earlier on, Gavin, about doing we were talking about maybe doing a couples retreat there in Morocco, and that's something that I haven't spoken about with Deirdre, but it is something that we could try and see if you were able to do it, because I've actually had a few people reach out and say it to me. So if that's something that we might look at in the future as well, that maybe just as it could be lovely to do it.
Yeah, good, absolutely. I mean, the thing with
it's art, it's holiday, it's shopping, you know, it's many things.
A pool
it's
there,
relaxing. Yeah,
we've got our own. It's like our own palace with a pool, amazing food, beautiful room. I mean, like this guy, the way he's decorated the place, he could be an art digest. He's done a lovely job. And he's always, you know, like always doing it up again. You know, there's always another little piece that he wants to add or just, you know, modify or whatever. And it's very welcoming, this space. And for us,
that's the culture. Sorry to interrupt there, but I think that's quite a cultural thing in Morocco, right?
Yeah, it's like open arms, come and eat with us, you know. But I think another thing that was very important to us in finding a place is that people could walk to the door and go somewhere. They wanted to walk down and go to shops if they wanted to, once they knew the way. Because if you have a place, which is, you often see beautiful places, but out in the middle of nowhere, and to try and get somewhere, like to the nearest town or something, you have to get a taxi, or you'd have to, you know, wait for the bus to come to you. So I think that's very important, that wherever you have, that people feel the freedom to just be able to walk, go somewhere else if they want to.
Find their own space when got it. So what have you both each got next coming up? What's going on for you, and where do people find you and find out more about these artist retreats? Because they sound awesome.
Well,
they sound awesome.
Actually, my next, I have a few big things on my calendar this year. Just you know, I don't know. It's just one of those years that everything's getting lucky, I suppose. But I'm actually I'll be exhibiting in Design Source in the RDS. That's coming up on the 5th and the 6th of March. Yep. And I will be doing something really interesting on the Thursday night for all the VIPs. So I can't really give anything away, but it'd be some sort of a collaboration art installation type thing. But I can't give that away because
intriguing, very intriguing. I'll be there anyway, so I'll have a front row seat.
Yeah, you'll see. I'll be roping you in to give me a hand. But that's
no problem.
You know, what that's the next thing that's coming up for me.
And Deirdre?
Okay, well, this year, let's see. I had a mad, busy, crazy year last year, and actually one of the best I've had in a long time. And I'm hoping this year is going to be the same. We have a couple of exhibitions coming up this year in, I suppose, Wexford, Cork, and Belfast. My one thing that I really want to do this year is launch my scarf range. So I'm waiting for those to arrive in the next couple of weeks, actually. And another thing that I'm doing.
I think that would lend. Sorry again, I'm always interrupting you, Deirdre. I was looking at your work, and I think it would lend beautifully to scarves. So I got
some small little tryout ones earlier, just before Christmas, but they were a bit too small, and they weren't printed on the back. So I've actually sent them back to them. I said I want them a bit bigger, and print to come through on the back like a reverse thing. So I'm just waiting on those to arrive now. And I think they would really go well with the American market. So it's just about getting them into the right places. The other thing that I have is I did a residency in Sardinia last year in the summer with a few other artists was an artist from Australia, New Zealand, and the States, and they were on to me the last couple of weeks, the last week or two, and we were talking about doing something, a collaboration somewhere this year to Europe. So that would be really nice to do something like an artist experience residency thing type. Then we invite other artists to come along to it. So that's something that. So yeah, so I mean, who knows? I'm open. I'm open to offers and suggestions, and and hopefully as well is that we'll have another retreat in September. I think September's a good month to do something, and maybe in Italy. Ideally, Italy is what we're looking at, somewhere around Florence, somewhere around there. So yeah.
That would be the perfect light, really, isn't it, for an artist?
Yeah, I think Florence,
like Florence,
where Michelangelo was from, and the Medicis, and it's all that whole Renaissance thing all started there. So it'd be nice.
And the chapels, yeah.
I think it'd be different than the Moroccan one. Very different, I think. Because it's more about let's go out with our sketch pads and do something.
I know I'm already working on that. What way are we gonna how are we gonna fit do that,
So I definitely think there's some scope, and I think Fran and myself would make like the ideal team for running a retreat. And I know people do it on their own, but for me, having somebody to bat ideas, to know that you can count on somebody that has your back, and thinks along the same lines that you do. I think that's really important, considering that we've known each other, say, from 2016, and we barely stayed in touch on Instagram, liking each other's posts and stuff like that. But it's somehow we just just come together, and it's just worked.
Yeah, I think bouncing ideas off someone is great, and I actually think it brings your work along so much faster too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that collaboration and just sense checking with others is so important. My better half is my barometer. Sometimes I come in and I go, I've just created something amazing, and she goes, no, I think you need to go back and do some more work on that. But it's important, right? Because I think it's great to have that someone to bounce off.
But it's nice, even like when we do the retreat and we've got people there, and like other artists, and even people that are just doing art workshops themselves and mightn't consider themselves as artists, but they're exploring and they're developing, and like a few of the artists saying, I'm now trying using the stencils in my work, and I'm now doing this, and they change their color palette slightly, that it might be brighter,
or do something that scares them, like some of the people that have been on the retreat don't like the color black, and they don't like mixing it in, or like maybe it paints gray, and I'm kind of going, well, no, we're going to mix all these colors. So we had like a little bit, I just want to do color mixing with people, and it's lovely to just kind of meditative, isn't it, that you just settle down and just get right. It's like 3 colors and black and white, or paints gray and white. And let's see how many colors can you get out of it. And that was one of the things that we did. And you can get hundreds of colors out of that, and different, so that was one thing we did. And like some of the people then were like, wow, I didn't realize I liked that, and now they're bringing that into the work, and it's kind of just giving it a whole other tonal perspective and all that kind of thing, which is, it's lovely to see that someone brings that back with them then. And that's like something where you don't need to be able to draw to do that, and it's something you can really, really enjoy, and it's and it is technical, but at the same time it's easy,
need them to be so expressive and not be afraid. Like it's like actually with all the stuff that we have there, it's actually like a kid going into kitchen and saying, oh, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to try this, or I'm going to try that, and trying out all the different colors and the materials and the pencils, and and working on paper, working on wood, and canvas. It just gives them the chance to try all these different things,
I think it's fantastic. I mean, look, I think everybody as a child always sketched or drew or crayons, or there was always something. But it's now finding that, and I think these retreats are a great way of people either reconnecting, or depending on what level and journey that they're on as an artist, and even taking it up as a hobby. You don't have to do it professionally, right? But
it's so good just taking that time out to be creative, It
is. I think we can all agree. So where do we find you? I think where do we find you both on socials or?
Yeah, well, with me, it's it's a Fran Halpin Art on Instagram. That's if you just put into Google Fran Halpin, all the different things, because I've 2 websites, and then I've got Facebook and Instagram and all of that stuff. So it tends to all come up because I'm a mural artist as well, so that'd be a big part of my business. So that's my other business. And then I've got the art, the fine art part, and then the retreats. The website is there as well. So we use my website for the retreats.
I was just going to ask, where do we find the retreats?
Yeah. So if franhalpin.com. So just put in, if anybody just put in Fran Halpin, and they'll find the retreat, because when you click into it, we have it on the main page. So you can literally, the minute you go in, it's the first thing you see, and you can click into that and it tells everybody about the retreat. And then we actually put in a testimonials page there too, because all the people, like we've only done 2 of those retreats, and there's 12 people on each retreat, but we've got 6 people returning on this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So that's like half of the people, and some of them people, it's their 3rd time to come back. Believe it or not.
It's the experience as much as the camaraderie, right?
Yeah, I think it's just the whole thing. It's not, I'd love to say it was all us, but it's actually
probably is.
But it's the Riyadh, it's the way we retreat, it's it's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
So if anybody is interested, or wondering what other people are saying about it, if they just go onto my website. I actually have it on Instagram as well, as when you go into your bio, as one of those, one of the little links that you can have a look. And the same with Deirdre's, and you can just have a look and see what other people are saying about it. And that's kind of, because it's very hard, because it just sounds like an ad when we say it, but when you hear someone else talking about it, you realise, you kind of go like, all right, they're not.
Well, when you want to do it again, when you have 6 people who want to do it again, that speaks volumes in itself. And Deirdre, where do we find you?
Well, the same thing, Instagram, Deirdre Geraghty Art. I also have another page called Art Jam Ireland, where I do a lot of work on that. And then my website, I have 2 sites on artjam.ie and Deirdre Geraghty. So
great. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. I know it's been short and sweet, but it's been a pleasure speaking to you both. Wish you both fantastic 2026 and best of luck for these retreats. And we shall see you at the Design Source in March.